The winter wind howled against the gates of the Carrington estate as a sleek black car glided through the drive. Inside sat Edward Carrington, a man who owned everything except what mattered most. His only son, Michael, sat beside him in silence, staring out the frosted window. He was 12 years old, bright eyes, soft hands, but he had never heard his father's voice. Not once. Born deaf, Michael lived in a world of stillness, while his father lived in one of noise and deals and headlines. That night, as snow began to fall, their two worlds were about to collide with another, one no one could have predicted. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're rewatching from. I love knowing who's listening. Edward's empire was built on control, the ability to fix, buy, or build anything. But he couldn't fix this. No amount of specialists, surgeries, or devices had restored Michael's hearing. And deep down, what haunted him was just his son's silence. It was the wall between them. Every night, he'd stand outside the boy's door, watching him sign words into the air, stories he'd never hear told back. And every night, Edward would walk away defeated. Then one morning, fate intervened, not in the marble halls of wealth, but on a cracked city sidewalk miles away. In a forgotten corner of the city, a young homeless boy named Eli knelt beside an abandoned piano. Its keys were chipped, its strings rusted, yet he played as if the music were alive inside him. People hurried by, tossing coins into his cup. But Eli wasn't playing for money. He was playing for warmth, for memory, for the mother who used to sing before the world took her away. That's when a sleek silver SUV stopped nearby. Inside, Michael Carrington sat, his eyes fixed on the boy. The vibrations of the piano's notes trembled through the air, through the glass, and into Michael's chest. He couldn't hear the melody, but he felt it. Every vibration, every pulse. Something stirred in him, something wild and new. He stepped out of the car, ignoring his father's voice and the driver's concern, and walked straight to the street corner. Eli looked up, startled, as this well-dressed boy approached and placed a hand gently on the piano. Their eyes met, and though neither spoke, they understood each other instantly. From that moment, Michael returned every afternoon. The two boys would sit side by side, one deaf, one homeless, finding a shared language through rhythm and touch. Eli taught him how to hear with his hands, to feel the depth of each note, to understand the rise and fall of emotion through vibration. And Michael, in turn, brought sandwiches, gloves, and sometimes just quiet company. Soon, the city began to notice two boys from opposite worlds sitting on a corner, playing an old broken piano together. It became their sanctuary. But not everyone saw beauty in it. When Edward found out where his son had been going, he was furious. He stormed down to that corner one evening, his coat flapping in the wind, his voice sharp with anger. Michael barked, though the boy could not hear him. He grabbed his son's shoulder, pulling him back from the piano. This is dangerous. Shouldn't be here. Eli stood, trembling. He was used to that look, the one rich men gave him before they walked away. But Michael shook his head. He took his father's hands and guided them to the piano, pressing them against the wood. Feel, he signed. Listen here, Edward hesitated. Then, slowly, he felt it, the soft vibration of a note, the resonance of something pure and human. For the first time in years, he didn't speak. He listened, not with his ears, but his heart. Eli began to play again, gentle, careful, and as the music flowed, tears filled Edward's eyes. He saw it now, the connection his son had found, the beauty that money could never buy.
Oh.
Days later, tragedy struck. When Edward returned to the city to thank the boy, Eli was gone. His corner stood empty, the piano abandoned, a single paper cup lying on its side. Weeks passed, and months. Michael refused to play or eat. He wrote only one name in his journal, Eli. Then one cold spring morning, Edward received a call from the local shelter. There's a boy here who says your son taught him to dream again, the woman said. When they arrived, Eli was sitting by a window, thinner but alive, his hands folded over a worn notebook. Inside it were sketches of sound waves, piano keys, and strange experimental devices. He looked up at them, smiling faintly. I think I found something, he whispered. He had spent nights tinkering with discarded hearing aids and piano components, building something crude but extraordinary, a device that translated vibration patterns into low-frequency tones. Not sound as most knew it, but enough for Michael to feel speech, rhythm, and tone with startling clarity. It wasn't perfect, but it was a miracle. Months later, at a small charity event, the world watched as two boys stood on stage beside a gleaming new piano. Michael placed his hands on the keys, Eli beside him, and together they played a harmony between silence and sound. The crowd fell silent, their eyes glistening. For the first time, Michael lifted his head toward the sound of applause. He couldn't fully hear it, but he felt it in his chest, in the floor, in the warmth of the boy beside him. Edward stepped forward, placing his hands on both their shoulders. "You found what all my money couldn't," he whispered. "You found the impossible." That night, a foundation was born, the Eli Project, dedicated to helping children with hearing impairments through vibration-based learning. And somewhere deep in his heart, Edward knew that the music that had once been lost had finally come home. Because kindness doesn't vanish, it waits, and it finds its way back. And sometimes, it takes a stranger to teach us how to listen. Not with our ears, but with our souls. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button and share it with someone who still believes in miracles. And tell me in the comments, do you believe that hope can come from the most unexpected places?